Okay, everybody, welcome to this module where we're going to be talking about everything about understanding Craigslist and how to get around its algorithm so your ads don't get flagged. This is actually the most updated version of this video. This is being shot on March 30th, so this is actually the fourth edition of this video from the original, from my first training course, from the Craigslist Masters course, and even from the first version of Craigslist Master Blueprint. This is now the second version of this video. So this just goes to show how often Craigslist really does change its parameters and its algorithm. That being said, a lot of the things still stay the same, except there's one new thing that you guys got to know now, is that Craigslist no longer ghosts ads, okay? And we're going to talk about what that is in a second here. Okay, but before we get into that, let's just talk about some things, and this is taken straight from the Craigslist Terms of Service. They don't accept business opportunities, multi-level marketing, referral marketing, positions requiring any upfront fees, or positions involving nudity. That being said, these are pretty much all the different categories that make us all money, so we're going to have to bend the rules a little bit to get around these guidelines that Craigslist has staked their ground with, So, and if that wasn't, enough, Craigslist actually has one last thing that they love stabbing us with, and that's limit each post to a single area and category once per 48 hours. So that really limits our mobility within the Craigslist ad posting guidelines. But of course, this course is designed to bend the rules of Craigslist to leverage it, for our personal needs and our own businesses. So moving on, we're going to talk now about this is my guidelines, my overview of posting ads on Craigslist. Okay, so the number one thing is to post in a nearby Craigslist. Okay, and that simply means is there's a little right hand column on Craigslist whenever you're logged in to any city of Craigslist. So if you're home on your home Craigslist and you live in Philadelphia, and you go and log in, and you go to Craigslist.org or whatever, and brings you to the Philadelphia Craigslist, you'll see a right-hand column that says nearby Craigslists or nearby areas. I don't know, nearby cities. It says something. It just says nearby. That's all I know. Anything in that right-hand column, and there's about 30 of them, you can actually post in, even from your current IP address, as long as you're in your local area. So if you're in the Philadelphia area or whatever. Anything in that right-hand column, which will be, I'm sure New Jersey, most of PA, probably Delaware, even New York, you can actually post an ad in, and it will go live and it will stick, But we're going to talk about that. That's not always the optimal way to go, but I want to throw that out there that is, completely doable. Okay. All right, moving on to the next guideline is limit your ad posting to one ad per category per 48 hours. Just stick within Craigslist guidelines for this one, guys. I'm telling you, if you try to maneuver above this, Craigslist will flag you. It just will happen. So what that simply means is categories are, if we're talking about the jobs section specifically, one category would be the sales jobs. Another category would be the customer service jobs. So that being said, you can post up to 2 to 3 ads on a single account every 48 hours. So you can post, one ad in the sales, one in the customer service, and if you wanted to even go a third ad, you can probably go and do that in the gigs or so. Okay? So don't go above 3 ads on a single account. That's just my personal recommendation to keep your ads going live and keeping your account in good standing. Okay. Next thing is never make more than 5 accounts on a single IP address. So if you're at home on your Philadelphia home IP address, you can make 5 accounts on that IP. Even if you were using a foreign IP address, which of course we'll get into later about how to get other IPs to post in other areas of the country. You can still use 5 accounts on one of those IPs, but just never go above that limit. And my recommendation is when posting on foreign IPs, I wouldn't even go above 2 or 3 accounts. But on a home IP address that is completely your IP address, nobody else is using it, 5 accounts is safe. And that being said, brings us into our next point, and that's don't post more than 10 ads on a single IP address, and my recommendation is don't even go above 8. So as you'll see in later modules, is I really recommend 4 accounts on an IP to keep it to 8 ads on an IP per 48 hours. That's the way that I've learned how to maximize my leverage on Craigslist, and that's my recommendation to you. And so that simply means if you have 4 accounts on a single IP, you can post 2 ads on each one of those accounts, and then of course you're going to have to change your IP for the rest of your posts. Okay. The next thing is this is probably the number one thing that I'm going to have to drill into anybody watching this right now, is switch out your titles, your texts, and your links. That being said, links are no longer a real big issue because I'm assuming most people will be posting in the free sections on Craigslist where links are no longer clickable. So that's not really something that's paramount anymore. But if you are posting in paid areas or any other area on Craigslist where links are still clickable, you need to be changing those out with a URL shortener or your own domains, having several domains, and of course we'll get into that in a little bit too. Okay, so you always have to make sure that your titles and your texts are completely unique and fresh. And of course, in the anatomy of a successful post, we get into further detail about all that. And my last recommendation before moving on is make sure your ads blend in. Okay, do not stand out on Craigslist because it is a flag waiting to happen. Okay, of course, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that in a minute here. All right, so moving on now, let's just talk about the algorithm. Now, this used to be the ghosting algorithm, okay? This was the ghosting algorithm, what determined if your ad was going to get ghosted or not. It's still the exact same algorithm, except now Craigslist no longer ghosts ads, they auto-flag ads, which is actually, in my opinion, much better than ghosting, because ghosting used to leave you scratching your head whether or not your ad went live or not. So now you know immediately what's going on. So let's just talk about the algorithm. First, as soon as you visit Craigslist, as soon as you go to Craigslist.org, Craigslist is going to install a cookie. Okay, so now they know where you came from, so now they know your IP address. Once you log in, the Craigslist installs yet another cookie. So now, you're anchored to where you're logged in from. Okay. Craigslist, once you start creating your ad and you go to submit it and you verify your ad, Craigslist installs yet another cookie. Okay, these are the different installation points of all the cookies that Craigslist installs while you're on their website and while you're taking actions. Okay, at this point you hit submit the publish button, yet another cookie is installed, and they begin their what used to be the ghosting algorithm and is now the flagging algorithm. Okay. And now, to break down what happens at this point, okay? Your ad will be placed in a waiting to be posted filter, which is much like a holding tank, okay? It's basically like a queued line of ads that are being scanned, okay? So the cron job for that specific city and section runs about every 10 to 20 minutes. I'm thinking it's much longer than this now, because ads are taking anywhere from 1 to 3 hours to go live now, so it might be much longer than that. The cron job starts the algorithm to detect any violating ads, anything like duplicate ads, things like that. Okay, once the scan finishes, another cron job begins to post the ad into the selected city or section, and either the ad post either it posts and goes live or it doesn't, and that's based on that scan at that point. Okay, if the ad does post and it gets flagged, that actually puts a mark on your account in the Craigslist database. If the next ad you post gets flagged, it also adds yet another mark, and so on until you reach a certain ratio of flagged ads versus live ads. And that kind of dictates what you're able to do on Craigslist. Okay, so it's that ratio, factors in the city and the section. And that being said, it's common for some people to be soft blocked or even completely blocked in one section but not another. So a soft block is just simply not being able to post in, let's say, the jobs or even just the sales category, but yet you're able to post in the customer service category. That's a soft block. A soft block is not being able to post in jobs at all, but you can post in gigs and for sale and stuff like that. So that's a soft block. A complete block is when you're not able to post any ads and they've pretty much banned your account, and that's when you've really screwed that ratio up pretty bad. That being said, I've had some accounts with some really bad ratios. I mean, like, 10 flagged ads versus 2 live ads, and I was still able to post brand new ads. You just got to kind of give your account a cool off period. Just leave it alone for 2 to 3 weeks and let it sit there, and then I guess Craigslist just releases it from their current banned database. I'm thinking they refresh their database every couple weeks or so. So at that point, you can log back in and try your luck again. Okay. So, moving further into this, this is actually a diagram to show you exactly what my thought process is when I'm posting an ad on Craigslist, okay? So it all begins with the IP. The first thing I know that has to be checked before I even touch Craigslist is making sure that my IP is ready to go, okay? So whether it's my home IP or a foreign IP, and we're going to talk about how to change IPs in a later module, but all this simply means is the IP address is clean and nobody else is using it, or the chances of anybody using that IP address are very minimum to post on Craigslist, and it hasn't accumulated more than 8 posts in the last 48 hours. So really it's the amount of posts on that IP and the amount of counts using that IP, okay, that is in my mind before I even touch Craigslist. Then the next thing is I make sure that when I'm on that IP address, I'll be posting in the nearby Craigslists, which just simply means now I always try to keep it into the same state, guys. I've been able to successfully post outside of the state, and I live in Florida, in South Florida, way south, down in Fort Myers, and I've been able to post as far as South Carolina, Alabama, Georgia, all from my home IP address without getting any no flags, nothing. So it is doable, but I still recommend trying to stay within the same state, especially when logging into a foreign IP, whether it's a VPN service or a proxy that we'll get into talking about a little bit later too. In those scenarios, I really stress trying to stick within the same state, okay? The next thing that, after I know those 2 things are checked off, is making sure that I have a unique ad ready to be used. And I have ad templates that I use, and I spin my own ads. And that simply means no duplicate ads. That's the number one thing that determine your ad being flagged at the moment, is that Craigslist is very, very hard on duplicates, okay? So change out all the text. Spin an ad if you need to, and I've included in the resources the #1 ad spinner, okay? It's awesome, it's cheap, and it saves you a lot of time if you don't want to spin your own ads, okay? At this point, I know that my everything's going to need to be verified, so that just includes, an email, of course. So you're going to have a fresh email and a fresh phone number to verify this ad. Guys, I'm going to talk about this in a second here, but I no longer log into accounts while posting ads, okay? I'm telling you this right now. Logging into an account and posting an ad raises a much greater chance of your ad being flagged at some point than never logging into the account at all, okay? So that's another thing that has changed for me in the last few weeks, okay? So I've found out through lots and lots of testing that it is very, very true that when you do not log into an account to post your ad, the chances of it sticking are far greater than if you were to log in. So during the live demonstration, you'll see that I don't log into the account. I'll show you how to do that, and I'm going to show you in a minute here in the overview and the conclusion that not logging into the account works much better to get your ads to stick. At that point, once I've verified the email and verified the phone number, one last thing I do to my ads before they go live, and it's actually a lot easier to do now because you have such a huge window of time, being 1 to 3 hours before your ad goes live, is to wrap your ad around in what I call the anti-flagging barrier. And up to this point, we've taken every precaution to make sure that our ads don't get flagged by Craigslist. The anti-flag barrier is to make sure you're protected against other flaggers that could potentially flag your ads, and that's something that I call the 40+ trick. Anchors work and best ofs work, and of course, I talk about those in greater depth in later modules. Okay. At that point, when all 5 of those things in my head are completely checked off and I know I've done everything right, I know for a fact that my ad is going to go live and it's going to stay live, okay? So, the conclusion to all of this is, and I'm going to take you through it step by step here, okay? Number 1, change out your IP address, whether it's through a VPN or a proxy. You need to make sure your IP address is clean. The city where you'll be posting your ad ideally should be as close as possible to the IP address that you're logged into, okay? This just helps to avoid future flagging. Take note of that, future flagging, because at the moment it doesn't really matter at all because your ad's going to go live right now as long as you're posting in the nearby cities. But I've learned that keeping everything as tight and as close as possible helps a lot in the future, where renewing ads becomes an issue. Flagging becomes an issue when you're renewing ads, okay? So, and logging in and posting new ads later on as well. So, I say stay as close to the IP as possible, and really all that means is just stay within the same state, okay? However, like I said, anywhere on that right-hand column is fair game, so it's your decision. You can definitely post anywhere on that right-hand column, and if you don't really have much need for the account and you just want an ad up right now in a specific area, log into the IP. If you're trying to post in Indiana or something, log into a Chicago IP and just blast some Indiana ads out there. You can totally do that. So at that point, the next thing you need to make sure is that you have PVAs ready. You have to have phone numbers ready for these accounts to verify. Of course, there's a whole PVA module, so we'll talk about that later. But just make sure that you have phone numbers ready. Craigslist does not geo-target phone numbers, okay? So the area code can be from anywhere. That being said, you could geo-target your area codes to the area you'll be posting in, but this is completely optional, and I have no evidence whatsoever that shows any significant increase in the ads sticking based on a geo-targeted PVA account on Craigslist, okay? So I know a lot of people in their teachings on Craigslist tell you the geo-target phone numbers and all this other crap, but I'll tell you this right now. For the last couple months, I've been using the exact same area code 239 to verify every single account and every single ad all across this country, and it has not made a single difference in my stick rate. So if you want to do that extra security measure and geo-target your phone numbers, by all means go ahead if it makes you feel better. But I'm telling you right now, in my experience, it has not changed a single thing. All right. At this point, you're going to connect to that IP address now, whether it's your home IP address or foreign IP address. Once you connect, run CCleaner immediately. Okay, we're going to talk about that. That's just a free software that clears out all the cookies that Craigslist uses to track your every move during that algorithm. Okay, so you want to make sure that no stored data from Craigslist is in your Firefox window when you open it up. So you run CCleaner. You're going to connect to Firefox. Again, it has to be Firefox, guys. We'll talk about that in the tools section. Make sure to open up the private browsing window in Firefox. Of course, you'll see me do that live. It's just right at the top. It's a specific window setting, and it's called private browsing, where Craigslist can't install cookies on the browser. Okay. Number 6, connect to Craigslist.org via a search engine, or at least manually type in Craigslist.org. Either one of those two work. I prefer doing it from a search engine, whether it's Yahoo, Google, whatever. Just typing in Craigslist in there and then clicking Craigslist.org straight from there. It seems to put a kind of buffer because Craigslist tracks you coming in from a search engine, and it kind of gives another layer of trust, if you will. Just something that I do that I've noticed this is from last year in 2013, that used to dramatically boost my stick rate. In 2014, I haven't really seen much difference whether you're typing in Craigslist.org manually or coming in through a search engine. In 2014, it hasn't really made much of a difference. So you can do either one, but make sure for a fact when you come into that Craigslist, the thing that you're seeing is that main map if you're typing in Craigslist.org. And if you're coming in through the search engine, make sure you're clicking on that city that you'll be posting to if it's optional. Basically, if it's one of the top results in Craigslist, like if you're trying to post in Atlanta and it says atlanta.craigslist.org, click that link. Okay, that actually adds another awesome blanket of security for your ad to go live. That being said, with certain VPN services, you will not have that option. So click on the Craigslist.org main link where you get the whole city map or the whole world map, or whatever. Yeah, the world map, and at that point, choose your city. Okay, and now this is where the process begins. Okay, so at that point, when you're inside Craigslist.org, you've chosen your city that you'll be posting to. Do not log into your account. Do not. I repeat, do not log into your account. Don't do that, okay? Select the city that you'll be posting to, ideally very, very close to the IP again. So if you're in Chicago or whatever, try picking somewhere nearby, or, Philadelphia, South Jersey works. Something that's close to the IP is what my recommendation is. At the very least, keep it within the same state. Again, I have to say here, you can choose from anything on that nearby right list. It works all the time. It's more risky, but it does work. And what I say by more risky is your first post, it doesn't matter. It's going to go live. It's going to stick. That's not why. That's not the risk that you're taking by posting in that nearby. The risk comes in later when you want to use that account again and post a brand new ad from that account, or renew an ad. Well, not so much renew, but if you wanted to post another ad in the future from that account, it's going to be very, very hard to get another IP address if you're using a VPN service to connect to that. And so they're going to basically make you re-verify your account, which, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's just another step that kind of slows down your ad posting process, if you will. And I like to make everything very fast on Craigslist, so that's just my personal recommendation. But again, you can post anywhere in the nearby cities, so that's completely up to you. So the process at this point is you'll click on Post to Classifieds, click on the section that you're going to be posting in. In my case, it's always a job offered. Click on I will abide by the guidelines. Select your subsection, which is customer service, sales, whatever. And if you're going to post a second ad with that same account, after you've posted your first ad, make sure you select a different subsection. So if you did post on the sales on the first post, make sure you're posting in like customer service or human resources or something else on the second post. Okay. At that point, after you create it, you do that. Enter in your email address. In that, you'll see when I do this live, there's in the top left-hand corner, they want you to put in your email address. That's where you'll be kind of creating your account, if you will. So basically, you just type in your email address twice up there. You create your ad, and you start your verification process. Make sure to use fresh ad copy for every ad that you're doing. Okay, so use an article spinner if need be. Again, I've included an article spinner in the resources section, so that's an optional thing if you want to go that route. Or again, in the anatomy of the post module, I show you exactly what needs to be spun to make your ads pass the duplicate algorithm that flags out your ads. Okay, make sure not to use the same titles. Okay, that's another huge one. Don't use the same titles when posting ads, guys. And one last thing is, if you are posting in a section with clickable links, meaning paid cities or any type of paid area, make sure that you're changing out your links. Do not use the same links in all your ads. That's another thing Craigslist can track real fast, and you don't want to get your domain name banned or anything like that. So make sure you're interchanging your links via shortener, URL shorteners or something like that. Again, I've included now into this package a paid cities module where I'll talk about the links and everything like that. Okay, so now one final step, or a couple final steps. 8 is stay away from HTML image ads and do not use fancy special characters in your titles, guys. This is like blood in the water for flaggers, especially those special characters. Do not use them. And HTML imaging is no longer available in the free sections anyway, so you can't really use them anyway, but I just wanted to put that in there. One final note about that is in the paid areas, of course, you could still use clickable texts and clickable image ads. So it's completely up to you if you want to use them in those areas. I personally don't, but that's just me. 9, once you click on publish your ad, you'll need to log into your email account to verify that ad. Okay. When you do this step, make sure to stay within the same Firefox window that you already have open, that private browsing window. Make sure you're in that window when you're doing this, okay? And then, of course, you're going to have to click on that link in the email, and then your ad will go live. Well, after you phone verify it, of course. One final note about that is Craigslist is no longer ghosting ads. So at that point, their algorithm, when it's in the holding tank, is either going to auto-delete your ad or flag it, or it's just going to go live. And one final thing you have to note here is it takes up to 1 to 3 hours now for Craigslist to put ads live. So give it some time, okay? It's not going to go live right away, or it's not even going to take a half hour. Most ads are taking about 2 to 3 hours. In my current testing, it's been about 3 hours now. It seems to be the norm for Craigslist to get ads to go live. So one final tip about that is copy all your links that Craigslist gives you about your live ad links, and put them into a notepad file. That way, in a couple hours from now, you can go back and quickly see if your ads are live or if they got deleted. Okay, so it's a really, really fast way of determining what happened to your ad once Craigslist scans finished with it. Okay, and finally, after posting your ad, log out of your browser. If you're going to post a second or third ad in the same city with the same account, you will not need to change your IP. So you'll just simply need to repeat steps 1 through 4, which are running the CCleaner and everything like that. If you posted your first ad in the South section, you should be posting your second ad in an alternate location such as customer service or HR. And if you're going to post in a different city, then you're going to need a new account and then repeat steps 1 to 10 over again for as many different cities that you'll be posting in. So that's the end of this module, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.